Okay, and we are live now.
All right. Good day, everyone. Um, Good evening, everyone. Trust you're doing good. So today's class is going to be practical. Okay, it's going to be very practical. In the last class, we dealt with HTML. I introduced you guys to HTML, and in today's class, I'm going to be practicalizing those things that um, we treated last week in our previous class. All right, so I believe that we all have downloaded the Visual Studio Code on our laptops. We've installed it on our laptop and it's working perfectly well on laptops now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get busy with the practicals, practicalizing everything that we've taught from the previous class. All right. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to open our Visual Studio Code app. All right. So let me share my screen so that you see what I'm doing. All right. Can you all see my screen? Can see my screen, please? Let me see your comments on. Let me see your comments. All right. So we're just going to go to the Visual Studio Code. Like this. All right. Maybe this is. All right. I believe you can see my screen clearly. So I'm just going to come to this file here. Then I'm going to click on New Window. Okay. I think we were working on something from a previous class. So I'm just going to open the folder we're working on from the previous class. I'll click on Open Folder and then I'll get to search for a folder. So let's say this. Okay. Yeah, this is here. So yeah, here we have it. This is a part of it. All right. So let me delete all this and we are going to start all over again. So let me create a new folder. Let me just teach you folder structure straight up and teach you how to create folders and files whenever you're working on a project in HTML and CSS and the like. So what you're going to do is you click on this file here, then you go to open folder. So once you go to open folder, under which parts do you want to save your document, your project? So we're saving it under document, all right? So I'm just going to come here. I'm just going to click on new folder. So once I click on new folder, I'm just going to type HTML projects. All right, HTML projects. So once I click on that, select folder. So now we've opened a new folder. So what I'm just going to do is Now this is the folder here. So let's create an HTML page. All right. So we want to create an HTML file. Sorry. So I'm just going to click on this new file here, then index dot HTML. Your HTML file must always have an extension of .html. Do you get it now? Or you can also use .atm, but let's use .html because that's the most common one. So we are going to start with doc type because we have different version of HTML. We are using the current version, which is HTML5. So I'm just going to type doc type, which is to specify that we are using HTML5. Doc type HTML. All right, we've specified that we're using HTML5. Now, the root elements. Now, let us define our root elements, which is by writing our HTML code, which is the root element of an HTML page. The HTML tag is the root element of an HTML page. Okay, so I'm just going to type this HTML. Then I'm just going to come here. Now we need to create our head section. Head section, which contains the meta information about the document we are working on. That is the title, that is the link for, we want to link our CSS to HTML. All these things are in the head section. All right. So I'm just going to come here and type. All right, head. So inside the head section, we have our title. So we want to give our page a title. Title, my first web page. All right. So, so now we now have our body tag, which defines the document's body. That is the part of your HTML document that is visible in your browser, all right, which contains the content, the whole content that happens to be very visible in your browser when you display the result of what you're working on. So I'm just going to come here and say the body tag. So now in the body tag, we now have different elements, all right, which leads us to different elements in HTML. So the first one we have is the headings. We have the HTML headings, which provides the HTML provides the 6 level of headings. Like if you can remember from the last class I taught you, we have H1 to H6, and H1 actually is the highest and the most important level of HTML headings, and H6 is the lowest and the least important level of the HTML headings. So now let's display what we just did, what we're talking about. So I'm just going to say H1. This is a heading. Sorry. Stop. And just copy this. So H2, let me just paste it here. Then H3, we are going down to H6. H3, and just paste it. Then we have H4. Sorry. Paste. All right. Then we have H5. And then the last one. All right. Then the last one we have H6. All right. So Control Save. That is your Control S to save. Now let me copy these parts. So copy parts, and then let's move on to our browser. So let me just go to the browser. and paste it. So yeah. So this is our the result of our H1. This is the result of our H2, H3, H4, H5, then H6. All right. So let's move on. All right. So we also have the paragraph, HTML paragraph, which actually provides it is used to define a paragraph. All right. It's used to define a paragraph, and automatically your browser actually adds some spaces after each paragraph element. Let me show us what I'm talking about. So we use the P tag to specify the paragraph. So say there's is a paragraph. This is a paragraph. All right. So if I come here and type another word, this is sorry, secondum. Paragraph. So yeah, Control C. So let's check the results. See that there are spaces between these two. Automatically, your browser gives space between each paragraph. All right. So um, we also have line breaks, which is very useful if you do not want your browser to give too much spaces. All right. You don't want to give too much spaces between your sentences. Let's say instead of giving space between these two paragraphs here, I can just come here and use the word BR. We use BR tag for it. So Control save. Okay. Let me type it in between the sentence here. So let me use it in between this sentence here. Let me use the BR tag. It's used to like break the line. It's used to break the line. So the BR tag is actually used to break the line. So Control save. All right. Can you see that it was used to what to break the line between this? Okay, so that is that for HTML paragraph. Okay, I think we also have the horizontal rule. Yes, we have the horizontal rule. Let me display what the horizontal rule does. So yeah, let me use the HR. So for the horizontal rule, we use the HR. The horizontal rule is actually used to create a break between an HTML page. So if I use the HR tag here, Control save, and then I come back to our browser, then let me load this. See, there's now a page break between the first set and the second set. So that's what the horizontal rule does in HTML. Then we have HTML styles. Are you guys with me? If you can see my screen, please let me know in the comment section. All right. All right. So now let's continue. So we have the HTML styles. So in HTML, we use the inline. If you are using your HTML styles, which brings us to learning a little bit of CSS in HTML, you use the inline CSS or the internal CSS. Let me show you how the inline CSS works. So let's say here in this paragraph here, I'll just come inside this p tag here, this opening p tag, and then I'll type the style attribute, which is to specify that we want to add a CSS, that's our inline styling on our HTML elements. All right. So I'll just type this style. Inside this, I'll write let me zoom my screen. So inside this style here, I'm just going to like write, let's say, color. We want to give the color of this text. I want to give this text a color. Then I write red. Okay. So once I do this, Control save. Then let's go back to check. Can you see that our text is now color red? So that is part of the inline CSS. All right. So we use the inline styling to add styles to our HTML elements. Then we use it to add CSS properties like color, font size, background color. Background color in what sense? Let's say this background now, you see that this background is white, right? If I want to give this background another color, all right, let's say we want to give it what color can we use? Yellow. So I could just come here and come inside this body tag here, inside this body elements, the opening body tag, and type style attributes. Once I type the style attributes, then call background color. All right. So once I type background color, I'll write yellow. All right. So here we go. Control save. Then let's check it out. You see that our background color is now color yellow. All right. So that is that for that. So we also have the HTML formatting to format text. If you want to format text in HTML, so let's say that I want to give I want to make highlight a text to specify that this text is very important. So to indicate strong importance in text, we use the strong attribute. We use the strong element, sorry. So let's say here, I want to make sure that this word strong is, you know, is of importance in our text. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to type strong. So this second, I'll bring it in between the strong elements. All right. Bring it here. So paste it. So now let's paste it here. So Control save. So let's check. You see that our text here is indicating more strong importance than the rest of the text in this sentence. All right. So that's what the strong element does. We also have the bold element. Let me use the bold element on this paragraph here. So we are going to use the bold element. We use B for the bold element. So I'm just going to copy. I'm just going to copy this paragraph here and just cut it. Then I'm going to paste it inside of the bold element. So paste, then Control save. So let me move on to check. You see, it's also showing the bold. So showing us that the text is bold. All right. So if you want to make text italic also, all right, to make a text italic, let's say paragraph, um, this text is, then I come here and I type I, inside the I, it's like, and full stop. Now control save. Now let's check what we just did here. Now you notice that this text actually is italic. Let's also check the emphasized text. We also have a text called emphasized text. So the emphasized text is this P, this is an, and we use EM, sorry, emphasized, sorry. All right. So now let's check the results now. So you see the results here. See the way the text looks like. It shows that the text is emphasized. All right. We also have underlined text. If you want to underline a text in HTML, all right. So we say this. What am I typing? Paragraph. Sorry. This. Sorry. And underlined. Then text. Stop. Now let me put this underline in between the UL, the U. Sorry, we use the U tag for it. So let me copy. Let me cut this. Cut it, and then paste it right here. So Control save. So we'll come back here, and then reload. So if we go down, sorry. So if you go down, you see that this text is underlined now. All right. So that's how you underline a text in HTML. You underline a text in HTML. That's how you do that. All right. So now we have what we call HTML quotations. All right. We also have what we call the HTML quotations. So HTML quotations. Now let's start with what we know as block quotes. So this is actually used for the quotation, that is the block quotes, is used for longer stand-alone quotations. So let's say we have something like this, block quotes. We have the block quotes. Then we have a site. Let's say HTTPS. Sorry. HTTPS. Then we have what can I use? What can I use? What can I use? Okay, let me just example www.example example.com. All right, so we have that. Then we close this. So now let's create a p tag. This I have not typed the P tag. So we have the P tag. We'll say this is a long quotation. There's a long quotation that stands on its own. Full stop. So Control S, that's save. Now come back here. So let's check. Can you see the way it looks like now? This is a quotation, HTML quotation. This to achieve this, we use the block quotes element to achieve this. All right, that is when you are trying to quote a particular sentence or paragraph in your website. If you're working on a website and you want to quote you want to make a particular sentence or paragraph look like a quote. All right, so this is how you achieve it. You use the block quotes element to do that. All right, so we also have the HTML comments. What does HTML comment does? HTML comment does two things. All right. Number one, to help in telling myself when I want to visit, because there are times that you would want to always visit your codes every time. You can work on a project today, and then in the next 2 years, you can come back to the code and you want to know what you were thinking while you were writing such code. All right. So that is where HTML comment comes in. So let's say this one here, we are working on paragraphs. So I'm just going to type, I'm just going to type the comments now. Yeah. So this comments here, this is a paragraph. A paragraph. So this like to show us that this particular thing here is a paragraph. All right. So when it comes back to the code, oh yeah. So this particular p tags I was working on here is under this comment to specify that I was working on paragraphs. All right. So now let's say another thing you can make use of the HTML comment for is to hide a particular HTML element, like you don't want it to show on your browser. So how do you do that? Let's say you don't want a particular text to show on your browser. What you can do is, let's say this is an underline, this particular one here. You can just come here. You don't want this to show. You type this. All right. So once you type this, then I'll come back here. Sorry, I didn't type this before. So I'll come back here and type this particular thing here. So with this, I've commented out this particular code. So it's before it was showing on the browser. This is Italy. This is an emphasized text. Now, if I reload this page, it's not going to be showing again. You see that it's no longer showing. So that's another purpose of HTML comments, to comment out a particular code and ensure that the browser does not read it and display it. All right. So now let me quickly show us something before we try to um, before we try to call it a day. Then tomorrow we move on to HTML colors and talk extensively on colors. There's a need for me to talk extensively. I would have just brushed through it today, but there's a need for me to talk extensively on it so that you can get to understand what HTML colors are and learn the basic color codes that you need to learn, and yeah, some other things you need to learn. I think I'll be making use of some materials tomorrow for that. So um let me check this. I want to teach you how to also check for source codes on websites. So www.example.com. Yeah, so look at this right here. Um, now just going to, so I'm going to come to this side here, this side where my cursor is here. Let me zoom. You see where my cursor is, right? Now, this part where my cursor is, I'll now right click. So I'll right click, then I'll want to view the page source. All right, must make sure that, all right, good. Now there's inspect, there's view page source. So let us view the page source. So it's going to give us the whole code of the website. All right. So look at this code right here. Looking at this code here, you see the doc type HTML. This is to specify that it's an HTML5 document. Okay. Look at this HTML tag here. It has an ending tag at the bottom, which is this, all right, which is the root element of your HTML document. Now we now have the head section, just like I've just showed you recently. We have the head section, which contains the meta information about your HTML documents. Then in the head section, we have the title, that's the title of your page, the title of your website. We have meta character sets, UTF-8, meta character, blah, blah, blah. So if you want to type all these things, all right, you want to type all these things without having to stress yourself, let me show you how you can do it. That's why we are here. So let me create another file. So let me name this example dot HTML. All right, enter. So let me create the doc type HTML. Then instead of just typing HTML head title, let me just make it easier for myself. So I'm going to type doc. Then I'll click on enter. So that saved me a lot of stress trying to write those things one by one. So I can just go on with writing the documents, title, then writing my code. And if I have a CSS, I can just come here and then link, blah, blah, blah. And just like they did here. All right. Though they use style here. This one is internal CSS. All right. If I want to use external CSS, I'll just use link, then rel. All right. We have yeah. So so it's not going to show you because you don't have a CSS file yet. Once you are moving on to CSS, I would teach you extensively on that. All right, so let me just remove this. All right, so then you can now go on with your H1, uh, H1, then paragraph, image, videos, and the likes like that. So, all right. So now this is actually your CS. This is how a CSS code looks like, but we are not yet on CSS, so I'm just going to skip it for now. So now we have the body elements, which contains the content, the main content of your website that is going to be showing on your browser. So now we have look at this H1 example domain. We have paragraph, this domain, blah blah blah. Then we have P. You know, in the last class I showed you how to bring in a link, which you use the anchor tag, the A anchor tag, H with href attribute. Then you input your link, then more information. So when you check how it's going to be displayed, this is how it's going to be displayed. All right. So guys, that is that for that. Tomorrow, we're going to be going deeper, talking extensively about HTML colors, then HTML images, videos, audios, and many other things that we need to talk about. All right. So thank you very much. guys for your time. Please, if you have any question, you can just ask your question. So I'm going to be checking the comment section now, and I'll be answering your question one by one. Thank you very much. Please, if you have questions, just go ahead and ask your question. Please ask your question. All right. I guess no one have any question to ask. There's no question from anybody. I believe that we all understand. And if you would also love to go through it again, this class is recorded. You can always go through it again and check some of the things we did. All right. So thank you very much, guys. Tomorrow we are going to talk extensively on HTML colors, HTML images, and many other things I'm going to talk about. Thank you very much for your time. Um, I remain your humble instructor, Alfred Elarapo. So, do have a lovely day, guys.